Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 10/4/25. This is going to be quite an impromptu episode, but before we get to any of the meat of the conversation, I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for ourselves, our friends, our family, our loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love us, let them nourish us, and let them bring us to our highest good. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love us, let them nourish us, and let them bring us to our highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda right now to help us at this moment in time to also clear any malevolent and mischievous type beings who do not want this conversation to be heard. We would like to have this in great peace and great understanding. And again, we ask for benevolence now with no conflicting agenda to come in now and to usher out any malevolent or mischievous type beings that are trying to interfere with this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we do so again with great gratitude. And so be it.
And so be it. All right. This is actually, this is the return to Williamsburg. Let's just put it that way. We went out to historic Williamsburg again, and we went to.
Just let me explain it for a minute. So guys, what happened, and when you go to Colonial Williamsburg or Jamestown or different places, it's very, very interesting what they've done. For people who don't remember history in Yorktown and that area, it's kind of considered a triangle area of where some very interesting things occurred. Of course, you have the end of the Revolutionary War, Yorktown, and the famous battles like that. You also have Jamestown that is nearby, again, one of the first settlements that happened here in the continental United States, and all of the interesting things that were happening there. Then you have what's considered historic Jamestown. Now, in the latter part of the 1600s, the king at that time and his wife, so King William and his wife Mary, actually founded the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg. Now, at that time as well, you had, of course, the colony that was here and what was going on here in Williamsburg. You had the governor's mansion. You have other things that were, built. And again, and then you had, after that, you had the Revolutionary War come about. Which caused a lot of uprising and problems. People that were loyal to the crown had to flee. The governor's mansion was burnt down. All of this stuff happened in this area. What happened in around the 1920 or so time frame, there was this thought that what they really should do to preserve our history was to take surrounding lands that had historic buildings on them in the Williamsburg area, right adjacent to the College of William and Mary. And how can we then preserve the history specifically there? How can we show Williamsburg? How can we show how people lived? How can we show that? So if you can think about a large territory of land that slowly has been purchased up and purchased up and purchased up, and basically the whole area has like been turned into a museum where there may have been more modern houses, but then they left or were torn down, and they found in the areas homes that were more historic, big or small, and moved them and created, again, this historic area of Williamsburg. So you're able to, they took the governor's mansion, they recreated it from all of what they could do. So it's a very interesting place because you can go there, you can watch history, you can see how they cook, how they ate, how the living conditions were. And it's really a great place to do what Chris and I did, because instead of trying to do it which people will go there and they'll visit that whole triangle, and they may do it, they may go there for 4 or 5 days and they're visiting all of these areas and stuff. But obviously what we chose to do is we just got a year pass. And so what we'll go and do is we'll visit for a few hours at a time, spend our time there, come back, and if something interesting should happen, voila, we'll sit here and talk about it. And so one of the things that has been done in more recent times is the Williamsburg Historic Museum. They're currently in the process of building an archaeological building there. And so again, it's an interesting journey as far as what they've done from the 1920s forward to transform this area that's adjacent to the College of William and Mary, which foundations were in that latter part of the 1600s, to recreate what historic Williamsburg looked like. Some of the buildings are absolutely original, but also other buildings were brought into the area and they've done their best to recreate. So it's a fascinating place to visit, along with, of course, Yorktown and Jamestown. So again, what we decided to do today is, we had not been to that museum. And so we thought, well, you know what, let's ride out there. And we spent a couple hours at the museum, and it was right at the very end where we kind of ran into something that kind of made us pause and go home a little bit, because again, some of the same problems and issues that are affecting us right now were in consideration at that period of time as well. And so that's what we want to talk about. Chris loves to do ghost box sessions, and so he did a ghost box session at the end, specifically reaching out to somebody that we saw within the museum, and we'll talk about that in a second. And so we've come home now, and very interesting things have happened in between us talking right now and coming home. And so we just thought we would openly have this conversation and see what comes about of it. But in general, like I said, if you ever get a chance to go through historic Williamsburg, come out here and visit and kind of see how things were. They've done a great job of it, and there's a lot to explore. So I hope you get a chance. I hope you can do the drive-through through Yorktown to see where these battles were held, and it's an interesting thing. And as well as Jamestown, if you can make it out there, again, all of this together in one kind of fell swoop to see it all. They have a recreation site there at Jamestown, but again, adjacent to it is the true site where they're doing a lot of archaeological type digging. Very interesting as well. We've already reported something on that. So just to give perspective of what we're kind of up to just locally here, and then we reach out and look back to the past to try and figure out and talk to some people and things like that. So here we find ourselves now today.
Yes, and I find this interesting because actually I'll just do a share screen and make sure I have it on the correct thing. Okay, and we went through and we were looking in the wing of the museum that had to do with a American painter by the name of Edward Hicks.
So he was located in what would be called the folk art side of the museum. And it was very, very interesting to look at some of his artwork. And I don't know if we look at any of them.
Yeah,
I don't see.
These are all of his works right here.
Yeah.
There's Peaceable Kingdom, or The Peaceful Kingdom, and then
so he did a series on the Peaceful Kingdom. Now, in general, again, he himself was of the Quaker faith, and again, not that we're trying to say anything about a religious belief, but they have, having great faith. And one of the things about his faith, that he felt very strongly about was, again, something we're facing right now, how do you bring together a unity amongst different groups?
Mhm.
So one of the pictures here on Chris's right, the big one of the things that, he liked to focus on was trying to bring different peoples together. And this particular picture has to do with, again, a treaty situation with the Indians.
Mhm.
But there were others as well with other different faiths that were coming to the United States, right? That was part of why people were flocking here, so they could live freely within their faith. And so how do you broker some sort of understanding and unity within these groups? So he went through a series of photographs and things that he painted.
They didn't have photographs then.
Excuse me, of paintings that he did. And it's basically referred to the series, The Peaceable Kingdom.
Mhm.
And so a lot of it, again,
is
you'll
the
see a lot of animals getting along, but also like that one in the background,
This
there
one.
are, again, another piece of people and Indians trying to get along. And it wasn't just between Indians, it was also between people of different faiths. So that seemed to be a great interest of him. Now, he felt that it was a part of his faith to try and bring this unity together. That right now there are people with certain faiths, again, it's my way or the highway, where it's you believe us or we don't want you here. Whereas in his way of being, and you can click the picture of him,
Here.
that's a kind of a self-portrait of him, where he was actually trying to broker what he felt was more of a unity of agreeing to disagree, but how do you bring people together? So when we walk through, and literally this was right at the very end, I was naturally drawn to it because, again, the struggle to try to bring together unity amongst different people with different belief systems, is certainly there and has been for a very long time. So again, his name is Edward Hicks.
Mhm.
And again, he was an American folk painter. And again, at that time, he was also a Christian minister of the Society of Friends, but that is also known as the Quakers.
Mhm.
And so, but he really went through this, series of trying again to live his belief system of trying to bring together unity. And so I thought that was very, very interesting because, again, we struggle with that concept right now. And how do we bring ourselves together, not agreeing on everything, but some foundational belief systems? So when you went out to do, after it was all over, and we thought, well, isn't it interesting? Would he be an interesting person to try to communicate to about what was going on during his lifetime? And we had talked about that. And then we went and Chris wanted to do a ghost box session.
Yes, and I thought this was actually quite interesting. I could take this off screen share. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that I said, and I normally don't put real strict parameters in as strict as I should when I do ghost box sessions, but I wanted it to be, there's been kind of an outcry, and you'll hear me say this on there, about more historically based, when being in a place, not just who wanders into the frame, let's just put it that way. And just like any being can kind of wander in and yak on there. So what I did was I just said I just wanted now I've already completely forgotten his name. Edward Hicks. Okay. For whatever reason the first name won't stick in my head. Must be a reason for this. I said I just wanted benevolent Edward Hicks only, the painter, and no distortion or noise other than him. Now, afterwards, I said, "Is he here or along these lines?" I asked if he was around, and basically, I heard a woman's voice yell really loudly, "He's a ghost! Help him!" And so I thought that was actually quite interesting that we ran across literally the only kind of peacemaker that you kind of saw in there. The other figures were either politicians, aristocrats, or warriors. So we run across the peacemaker, that's there. Or the Quaker, that's there. And I could definitely feel there was a bit of agitation at the fact that I was asking about him. And I didn't particularly like that. And I can even feel it in my chest right now, as a matter of fact. So we invoked the law of one in the beginning here, but I actually wanted to know why that surrounding this man and why he would be a ghost still. Now, as you know from past paranormal episodes that we've done, I've described basically a ghost as a fragment or shard of an oversoul that is essentially who they were here on Earth. But the catch is that you have to have died of an injustice, unfinished business here, and or some kind of lie being told about you, something that wasn't true, something that, some kind of injustice, murder, abrupt death, something that constitutes a haunting. So, and not necessarily a big haunting. This is just more like a ghost wandering and earthbound. So I was curious about that myself. And I can clearly feel this guy's around, without a doubt, but he's very dense. And I'm looking at him right now. So like he looks like he did in the portrait. Thing of it is, if he was spirit folk, he would look younger. He would look like my age, and I would actually he died. I looked up his death. He died under mysterious circumstances at the age of 50. So, and let's see, what year did he pass away? It was August 23rd, 1849. Okay. Now I lost the page that said Edward Hicks' death. I will actually look this up. Give me a moment. How did Edward Hicks die? All right, here we are. Edward Hicks, American folk artist, died from tuberculosis. Now it shows an actual death. Before it said unknown. Okay, tuberculosis. This is why I'm getting it in the chest. Okay, so that actually makes a lot of sense. At the age of 69, the other AI one, and I really wish I had shot this before. It said died at the age of 50 before. Now it's basically saying died in Newtown, Pennsylvania at the age of 69, and he died of tuberculosis, also known as consumption. So I find that very interesting. This was just like within mere minutes before we started recording this. I saw two completely different death uh, dates and times, and the what he died of. One was mysterious, one is definitive, and I find that very interesting that both came up. So and the fact that he was a peacemaker, this would not preclude the fact that maybe somebody did harm to him at the time and did not want
Or
a
the
peacemaker,
story.
or the story is inaccurate.
Something to get, but I will agree, it is
So,
really.
so you know how these things go, folks. Like we had with Thomas Jefferson. You saw what happened in the Monticello episode. The slaves were all keeping a piece of him there, and because of the aftermath of what happened with Thomas Jefferson, he didn't free his slaves, and you know what happened after that. But this is baffling. So, Isaac, why can I never remember his name? It's a simple name. It's Edward. Why can I not utter his name properly? This is actually quite interesting. Edward, why can't you speak? I don't like the fact you can't speak. So there. So why couldn't you speak? Hmm. I'm not liking this actually. Hang on. Okay. All right. We'll go with Isaac on this one. Oh, hang on. You had something following you around. Whatever that hooded thing is. Okay. Okay. Well,
Just move them on.
yeah, there was something following him around with a tether, so I had to get rid of it. It was wearing a purple robe and was like white and bald, so I just got rid of it. Looked like some kind of monk or something, so I got rid of it. But so Isaac, we'll just go with you. Why? He seemed kind. I mean, in his pictures, what he would paint about seemed fine. Was there some underlying undertone we don't know about? Uh, Always, but with this, hmm. You seemed reluctant to give it to me, but okay. Even that wing itself seemed peaceful in there. That seemed just fine to me. So, was this a last rites thing, or was this or something like that? Because he would have been on his deathbed. If he does, I'll just ask him now if he revokes that as of this moment in time. Okay. I heard a yes to that. Okay. But I just saw black in the throat here and everything. And
Well, that would be the tuberculosis.
that'd be tuberculosis. Yeah. That would be why we were getting hit in the chest so hard. Okay, so it's like with Nathaniel Bacon when we did Bacon's Castle. Man, that hit me horribly hard. If you go watch the Bacon's Castle episode, the empathic transference is a powerful concept if it goes unchecked, and you can take on the sickness of somebody. So
But this denseness
No.
isn't.
this isn't just him.
No.
No, this is somebody that doesn't want us talking with him. That's why. Is this merely because he was a peacemaker? Because because people that are peacemakers, they tend to get assassinated. So
Well, but
I don't feel that was the case here, but I feel like there was, if anything, somebody could have just sped it along. But why was he still a ghost? Was that merely because of the last rites thing? Because
they don't really. So again, that's more Catholicism.
that's more Catholicism. Yeah, Quakers wouldn't have had that. So this is a mystery. So Isaac, you're just gonna have to explain this one because I'm stumped. So Catholicism would have had last rites, but every religion had some really weird, some little tether to something similar. Like even if it was just a tiny bit of wording or something. So or a spell like of some kind. So well, Isaac, we'll just have you come in. You can talk about him in, and if he, as himself, wants to talk as his oversoul, I will be fine with that. If he's truly benevolent with no conflicting agendas, I'm fine with that. If that he follows that guideline, I could clearly see he was sick, so I could clearly see that because with the black coming out of him, so that just notes pestilence or sickness of some kind. So. Um, Okay, Isaac, you can talk on this. And yeah, okay. Yes, you can come in, Isaac. Yes, benevolent Isaac only. And it didn't. The irony did not befall me that I believe it said his father's name was Isaac. So, or cousin's name was Isaac, I believe. Let me see. Okay.
Isaac Hicks was his father.
Isaac Hicks was his father. So this does not, the irony does not befall me here. So yeah. And I do want to say one weird thing that did happen before we bring him in. If everybody's familiar with Abraham Hicks, the same last name, that popped into my head when I came home as well. Weird form of attacking that took place just prior to this whole thing going down. I realize the Halloweeny season, this is in the Samhain or Samhain time frame, the harvest time frame. Weird energies overall during this time of year. I'm just saying, since it's being October 4th at the moment. But this was weird because Abraham Hicks was said to channel the Abraham Soul Collective, which there is no such thing, I might add.
Well, Abraham Hicks is the collective.
Is the collective, and there's really, from what I understand and our current understanding at the moment, there is really no such thing. So you're either the being or you're not, the kind of thing. Yeah, I can understand the oversoul being through the multiverse. That I get. This one though, very heavy, very dense, and this would have connected to more Yahweh / Enlil. This the God of the Old Testament. This would not have. This is who this ended up being. So I thought that was a little weird that somebody of a similar name, of course, was connected, and that was the law of attraction. guy right there. So, and the law of attraction, I always thought that was a little weird. It was damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's like you attract good things if you're good, but you also attract bad things if you're good because they try to smother your light kind of thing. And I was like, no, that sounds like a weird contract to me of agreeing to get beat up. That's kind of how I read into it a little bit. Granted, yes, you manifest and attract good things, but I'm kind of on the fence with it because I see that it's a kind of a double standard, and the let's just say the game is rigged. So with the soul trap nonsense and everything. But to get back on the subject here, Isaac, I just had to actually put that in there just to tell people what the weird activity that took place here. Not trying to throw anybody innocent under the bus of any kind. I'm just saying this is what was seen a moment ago. So, so if anybody's fans of that, I'm sorry. This is what we saw. So
It's just what happened.
it's just
We're
what
not
happened.
making any judgment. We're just saying, wow.
Yeah, this is
what happened.
yeah, this is what
Why?
happened. Yeah, I didn't lie. This is we're just reporting what happened.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, Isaac. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up so you can come in. Yeah. Yes. Is it safe for Edward to talk to in a minute?
We'll see.
Ooh, something distortion in a way here. No distortions. What are you doing, Isaac? Just come on. Okay. Benevolent Isaac. What are you waiting for? Come on.
What's the problem?
He's just standing over there. I don't know what he's doing. Okay. Oh. All right. I'm being shown some beings that are covering a body up, and they're putting some burlap over a body, and they're rolling this body up over and over again in bandages. So I'm assuming that this is Edward that you are helping out, and I need to know who the other two guys are here before I do anything. The guys in uniforms, who are you? The guys in white, the jumpsuit guys, who are you? Stop, back away. I need to identify you first. Mm-hmm. I'm not buying it. Back up. Mm-hmm. I think you're Orion Soul Collectors. I think you need to back up now. Jerk. Okay. Now you can come in. What was with what was with the guys in the suit? Uh, uh, come on. All right. This is a bit of a conundrum because of these individuals were collecting the energies from not only that site, but that particular individual. The man did nothing wrong in his life. None. Trying to bring people together. This is what you want. Excuse? There are beings very angry that you've made contact with this because you disrupted something that he did not want disrupted. You would see them as soul fishermen or pirates, but this goes far and above and beyond even just soul trade. This is so these beings have been around in this area for some time. I do not approve of their activities at all. These are criminals as far as I'm concerned. But the main topic was Edward Hicks. Was he a good man? Of course he was. Even amongst the religious views of his time, even amongst the chaoticness of his time, and what he had to witness and endure was far more than the history has said. But he retained his heart space. He retained this, and he went around people that were sick. He went around people that were dying. He went around and painted happiness, happy cultures. His childhood, you saw that painting of him as a child. It was from a memory, a happy memory. He wanted to retain happiness at all costs. He wanted to retain brotherhood at all costs. He wanted to continue to heal at all costs. He felt his visuals would help heal people. And it also healed himself in return from some of those things he had witnessed. This is something I'm in full approval of. He is grateful for the help. These particular beings that were around there, I'd like to say that they're rare, but they're not. He noticed a weird emblem on their chest that kind of almost resembled a cross and a shield, but it was the onesie suits that you normally see. It is a particular group of an order that I will not utter their name, and they let's just say that none of us approve of their activities. As far as I'm concerned, they're barely men, but in this, you stumbled on to some of their activities in the interim, but he sensed them before, but he didn't know what he was picking up on. He thought it was simple, like soul trade and such. No. This is a bit different. This is in a category you don't know the name of yet. This is more like, how can I get this to your language? Say you have a sickness and you wanted to spread a sickness without actually taking the virus. What would you do? You would take a way to copy an echo form of who died.
Right, the imprinting.
And imprinting. And then you would take that echo form or imprinting and imprint it on a society. Therefore, you take a frequency. Frequency is memory. Memory is a frequency. And it's just like in your fourth Matrix movie where they took codes from the Matrix and were able to recreate strawberries. Therefore, Neo figured they could use that to save the entire planet by copy and pasting from the Matrix. This is the same trick. The Velodians use this trick to heal people, where you take their light body to wherever and in between neutral quantum space, give them codes to heal a certain spot, and yo-yo them back here. It's the same trick. It's not a magic trick. Well, I suppose it is. Frequency here, you're just taking this one, putting it here, and it brings either a realm to you or you to a realm, or codes to you or from you to a realm. It's that, like that. It's essentially a tether. And tuberculosis, I will get into that only briefly. That was alien born. Travelers from different planets and such brought some of this pestilence here. The Black Death, you heard the stories of the crops being spread. You guys did work on this already. And it was a way to cull society. Tuberculosis was something spaceborne that was aboard some ships. And voila, here you are. Just like pirate ships and other cargo ships would have rats and bugs. And voila, you had rats and bugs over in North America. So, hence you have the descendants of those rats in places like New York and Chicago. This is no different. This is where tuberculosis came from. Why do you think it was so deadly? It's when people attempted to try to touch anybody. They were around them profusely, and they would pass this disease on through breathing or anything of that nature. To the bubonic plague and Black Death there's some black goo involved in that, but you get what I'm saying. That's why he saw blackness, because it's kind of it's not necessarily a relative of it. It's just more of a respiratory. It's a respiratory goop. It's very similar to how your COVID and also your gravine and your black goo operated. It's a sick photocopy. People can take a photocopy of a virus and actually make a weird photocopy of it and clone it and do all these weird things. And these are all variations on a theme. But to go back to the crux of why you wanted this to begin with, which I fully approve, you just were meant to stumble onto these other components. You wanted to be educated. There it is. There's galactic bits of galactic realm in here too. But this person, was he an incarnated person that came down here to do these things, to try to be a peacemaker? Did his oversoul wish to do these things, to try to bring about some measure of peace and make an everlasting mark. You bet. Your Charlie Kirk was the same. He was similar in his own right. Other painters and artists were the same. Either other peacemakers are the same, where they make a mark and their oversoul decides, okay, this is going to make the most amount of change. This may not seem like this may seem like he's a footnote in history rather than a because he's not modern day. This matters not. He did what he did in his time, just to bring about peace. Very much like any priest that went amongst lepers, or anybody that studied certain diseases to cure them, or minus whatever everybody thinks about vaccines and whatnot. Those that cured polio, even though that was both were created roughly around the same time. But anyway, I won't get into that. That can be something else. But what happened here was he walked through also his former footsteps from other lifetimes in which he did the same. He went around amongst people that other people would fight with, or other people would not mix with, or other people would not talk to. And like William Penn, same thing. Even though it was there was some religious motivation, he also wanted to be a peacemaker and tried to bring both sides together, knowing full well that certain evils out there wanted to just annihilate the Native American side that were within the government at the time. So they did not want conflicts like this, and those two oversouls came in and wanted to make a difference here. This is essentially what took place. And did he die not well? Did Edward die not well? Yeah, it was pretty grotesque, actually. To us, to me, that would be an injustice in and of itself. It was a fairly rough death. If you get a rough death, you get a ghost. It was a very traumatic death, and it was of somebody that was not deserving of that. But did it come from a targeting source? One could say, by the by, that did some demonic sources drag it his direction? One could argue that. And one could argue that those dark sources tend to kick their own selves in the balls and step on their own feet and stumble on their own feet, because they're part of the process by which then the very evils that they are creating get found out because they're stupid. They end up being swept up in the process that Spirit has laid out. You see, they get swept up. They get swept up in it, and therefore they think they become king of the castle, by which then they get noticed and dethroned. So that's a circle of life, Simba. So, questions?
Well, I have to say that the reason that this struck me so much, again, besides the fact that it was a man so many hundreds of years ago, struggling with some of the same problems we face right now. But I have to tell you guys, that was the nicest room energetically in that building.
Because he was present there, but even though he was a ghost form, his energy was present within his works.
It was, and I think that's the important thing, because Chris and I have been around plenty of times, even in some of the other rooms, like there's one room with a lot of portraits in it. I hate rooms like that because I feel people touching. I feel all of this stuff.
With all the creepy children, yes.
Right. And so, not to say that the children were creepy. I don't know what it is.
I'll say it.
Okay, good. You say it. Go ahead.
They were creepy because of the fact that a third of the children, not a third, that's too much. A few of the children were not alive when they were painted. So I'm just saying that sometimes that happened.
So, well, that's so funny you say that, because I saw one specifically that I thought, oh, I wonder if this is a dead baby.
You are correct.
But, which is fine, because again, that's how they memorialized and kept with them. So I'm not saying anything. As you guys know, once photography came around, there was a period of time that they did the exact same thing. They would have a picture with their loved one who just passed. They weren't trying to be creepy, but sometimes those pictures feel creepy.
They did not age well.
And so,
except in some of those Asian cultures that they prop up the corpse and everything, and make them smoke cigarettes and all this crap.
Right.
But similar.
Right. But to get back to it, this was the very last room you go through before exiting the building. So literally, it was the last room we went into. It was the best energy of the entire place. And so what was perplexing me, honestly, was coming home, getting ready to do this, and all of a sudden feeling such denseness because the room itself, okay, all I can say is that on the surface, what I was reading, it all felt true. And the energy supported that truth,
Yes.
that this was not now somebody who they were trying to make a saint who wasn't. It really felt like all of this was true.
Yes.
So the fact that we came home and we were running into all these problems, it didn't kind of make sense, because it's like, why are we facing this denseness right now with something that actually was really, really good? And again, I personally will not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, I know he had a religious belief system, but there was a lot of benevolence within him and within that belief system. And so again, trying to build bridges instead of burn them down. And again, that's faced in this world right now. So I was surprised when Chris is like, oh my God, he's a ghost, because, it's just somebody that you would have hoped that would not have happened to. Because from what I understand, he's literally been obviously in the same time we've been in,
Yes.
hanging around. I don't know what's been going on. I know he's listening. I want him to pass to heal, please. Please pass to
He
heal.
is in a transitionatory state, even though everything is quantum and everything happens all at once. From your perspective, it is like someone walks into a different room. Even though you already have a spirit self somewhere that smiles down on you, but sometimes likes to watch and see what happens from time to time. He's hearing everything we're saying.
Mhm.
Your oversouls know each other from other areas in time and space. Within reason, you can speak, but you must be more enveloped in your oversoul energies for a short, at least a short amount of time. So, to your oversoul, you must take control of this situation. So,
Please. Benevolence for his highest good.
yes,
Please come in for him, because he has been through the ringer. And
from his perspective, it would look like he was going to his afterlife, of which he is, but more the library. That's what people are actually seeing, is going into their oversoul. If anything else is trying to come for you, no, you know the rest of that story. So, yes. Okay. So, I will let him in briefly. All right. I shall be brief. Your friend over there seems to want to call me the Quaker Oats man, but I must say that, yeah, I get the joke. But the human version of me would not have gotten the joke. Then this, sorry for the stammering. I was on site there within the wing of the museum. But strangely, he was feeling it in the chest. Yes, because of the pestilence, as he calls it, or tuberculosis or consumption. There were other beings around. We were versed in things of that nature in the Quaker religion. What I did not approve of is the religion splitting into factions, because I thought it threatened the core values of the religious beliefs, from a traditional to one that was named after myself, which I don't particularly care about. But in any rate, the circumstances behind my death Yes, there were people around me that cared about me. There was family, and there were even a few strangers. But I did not expect to quite go that way. But from that day and age, I lived a long life. Most people didn't go up to the late 60s and into the 70s. There are most of them were roughly his age and slightly up, about 50s-ish as well. There was a lot of people that did not reach that age. So I was grateful to make it as far as I did. But did I try to paint happiness wherever I went? Yes, showing animals, showing the energies that I picked up on. I was more, you would call it empathic then, and picked up on all the animals and what nature also wanted. So I tried to incorporate that into the faith at the time. What ended up happening within the Quaker religion at the time, even though he doesn't know all the history behind this, was it split and fractured. And you had both sides, the traditional and the other. And you had the just like you have your Catholicism, you have your Catholic, you have Protestant, you have all these things in the Christian religion, Church of England, all of that. I did not want them puritanical. I didn't want to see all of this. I wanted something that was more pure, because I was getting from somewhere that, and what ended up being what you call oversoul, wanting to come in to mend this. The reason some of the religions fracture is because you have what you call the demigods doing things, and you have if there's a false foundation somewhere, it will crack and fracture. I wanted to take the good parts of this and use it, but not in a conversion sort of way, in more of a unity sort of way. And it started to work. It started to, and also William Penn's teachings, this started to work. But then, of course, darkness gets its mitts in places you don't want it. And no matter what he says the roles are, I, at the time, would still see it as distortion or disruption, as you would. And in this, I knew nature had a role to play in this. Animals had a role to play in this. Kindness had a role to play in this. Unity had a role to play in this. And I figured making it a painting and putting the writing around the edges, what does this constitute? You would say a manifestation or a spell. What do you think he wants to do with his little coins? I knew something was afoot. I knew even within Oversoul, something had to be brought into physical form, physicality. This is more the Oversoul talking a bit more, and more of an alchemy was needed. This is what I brought into fruition. Depictions of nature, kindness, and people being depicted as well. Happy memories, keeping that energy alive where you pinpoint a time and you pinpoint that frequency, and then you build off of that. You, just like he in his depressive periods, I read, tries to hold on to something positive or an anchor. What do you think I was doing through the creation of the art? And it was my cousin that painted my portrait, not myself. So I will answer your questions as best I can.
So again, the interesting thing that if you look up his work, and maybe Chris can post a few of the photos that we took, was what he was saying is around like the edge of the paintings, he would write something and you read it down and then read underneath and then read the side. And, you know, again, you can call it spelling, but the interesting thing is, again, it was just simple, nice things that most people could say, oh, I agree with that, lending intention to the thought.
Yes.
So again, not spelling in the way that people are thinking, but like I said, you know, there are so many more things that we can agree about and create a firm foundation about an agreement, and then let people live their lives within that. So you yourself embraced that by having these sayings that went all the way around the frame of the
Yes.
picture,
Yeah.
hopefully invoking from others that they felt the same.
Yes, and this is an old practice. Believe it or not, this is an old pagan practice. I had a past life as a Celtic spiral weaver, you call, and put the words and symbols in the spirals. I brought this forward into my avatar as Edward Hicks and did the same because it's information that had been lost to the ages. Doesn't matter if the human self remembers every detail, it is what is used in the moment. What you like to say about your SSP times, use what you need in the moment. This is what I, as a, not this other name, the Edward Hicks, wished to convey. The other one you mentioned was in the guise of an service to the other being you mentioned, another demigod service. No insult to the human. This happens, and I'm not condoning the tether, but this is unfortunate what happens. It's the whole demigod war, what him and Bjorn are doing with the coins. Great, wonderful. This is what I was doing with the painting, bringing something in that needed to last in that form. Some people may think, oh, it's another artist within the walls of a museum. But I argue, you try getting a wing in a museum. And that is not ego saying this. This is what I stepped into the physicality to do, to have a place carved out, a space, by which then contained this vibe. By that vibe, people take this with them. People take this with them, and what is that those footsteps do? As he says, they start little fires of information somewhere. Or, well, how you guys would say it, they download into the benevolent earthly Akashics and the benevolent galactic Akashics at this moment in time. And you can say right now that is happening. It is now so grounded. So, as you walk, you recognized there was a fellow oversoul that was doing similar work to yourself. And this is why you stopped and took pause and recognized my faith, because I recognized both of you. Mattered not that the avatar was kind of stuck there. Stuck is kind of a relative term. How can I describe this in English terms? Yeah, stuck or grounded, but you moved me on, and I'm grateful for this. Now I've brought all this back into myself, so to speak, which spirit was always there, human was always there. Like your Frank Frazetta did the same, coming in to change the art industry forever, and now his works are used throughout your artistry world and even video games. And like your Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings. It's used in games. It's used in your D&D. It's Dungeons and Dragons. It's used all over the place. Think of it that way. This is kind of why my oversoul also stepped in of my own accord. This wasn't just some mission from God. I chose this, as your Frank Frazetta would say, and he now is transmitting this as well. Same thing, different vintage, different era.
Well, thank you. And like I said, it's kind of cool that it's the last room you go through because it has the best energy. And if you will sit there and read it, you will recognize, wow, someone trying to bring joy and unify. Anyway, your portraits were, they just were wonderful. The energy of that, I just can't get over the energy, the goodness in that room. Because it's rare, no offense, take this wrong. It is rare that we walk through something that the art is so old that felt that good. It's really rare.
Because when you get into the hall of what him and Isaac call the hall of dead babies, there was only 2 in there, guys. So anyway, I get it. Paintings can capture very much like your second Ghostbusters movie with the campy painting that was live and evil, or he says like your Witcher series game that has the painting that was alive. This happens. This is an actual spell that's going on. This is actual magic that's ancient that's being depicted, where it can pin an emotion, like in the Witcher 3 game, pins an emotion from somebody who was very distraught. Art is this way. You can literally create a realm that you step into. I was bringing a frequency, showing people that not all that happened then was bad. Yes, there were bad things that happened then, as they are in your time. As you would say, same shit, different day. This is essentially what I am trying to say. But within the good realm, good things happen too, and they also have happened then, and they are happening right now.
I think that gets a little bit hard for people right now, because if you.
Distortion blocks this, yes.
Yes, it blocks it, but again, people are still quite separated from one another. A lot of people are. And you need to almost force yourself to get back out into the public arena, so that you start to recognize that there are plenty of good people just like you walking around. And it's not what it appears to be from a perspective that's being put through the box that everyone is being shown. It's really not that perspective, but they can certainly convince you that it is. And so, we saw plenty of wonderful people walking around today, just trying to bring joy and have fun with their families or whatever. You need to get out there and do a little bit of that, get into nature, get into these different things to rejuvenate yourself. But understand that, again, some of the issues that has faced humanity has been facing us for a very long time. And people still come in to try and forward that and stoke that fire of benevolence and unity all throughout time, as well as right now. I hope, though, again, from your perspective, I hope you're hopeful for humanity, that we're going to be able to turn the tide for more global, let's say, positive, benevolent unification.
Yes. It may take a minute to unify, but not as fast as some would like, not as slow as some will think. This is why you had ill distortions as you were getting to the site. Others were not wanting you to see what you eventually found, which was me. Each time you go there, you see something different. This is why you have to keep history alive. This is why this must remain. This is why nothing ill should happen to any of these, and it will not. Just know that a lot of things you are seeing, a lot of things you are paying attention to, are distortion. They're distortions away from things like this. Like the painting I noticed you have in the corner of your room, peace, love, and family, all else is noise. This is the core premise of what I'm trying to say. You have a powerful sigil, a powerful talisman in this area of the room that most of the time gets ignored. It's because that was created in very much the same way as what I did. And you having the law of one there, perfect. Just like what I tried to do, that's like William Penn tried to do, basically saying all is one in the earth, all is one, people are one planet, one people, like the Baha'i religion, or like what William Penn always would try to reiterate, we are one blood, one people. And this is exactly what I wanted to convey, but also the happier moments of history. Myself, the bigger self, also knew looking forward that, or what you would say is forward, that these things would be needed later. Like Frank Frazetta did with his art, or Tolkien did with his writing. You guys are doing this right now. That things you don't even realize or impact. And anyone listening, no footstep is small. No matter what insider tells you what, no matter what pundit tells you what, no footstep is small. Because of the fact that if anybody is saying one is over the other or one is less important, or greater importance than the other, they are shockingly full of shit. They are trying to sell you something. They are trying to accommodate or somebody else or accomplish some goal by making it feel as if it's okay that there are people out there that are lesser than others. This is unfortunately what happened with the U.S. government and the Native Americans. They felt that one was in the way of progress. And also, the reptilians that were around them just wanted to conquer the descendants of their greatest enemies. So it was a mutually beneficial pact on that end. And there's some things that are still going on, I might add, but I won't get into that part. I see from up here, you would say, a bird's eye perspective. No pun intended in this with the animal references, but with this, I must say, if they say one footprint is smaller than the other, they're lying or they're lying to themselves. It's just that simple.
Well, thank you. I don't know what else to add to this. So, for this conversation today, any final thoughts that you'd like to talk about?
Yes. This has been an interesting experience. I, as the human aspect, was not necessarily completely expecting it. Nor was not expecting you two to walk in there. I know spirit was. This is why you were compelled to go. And there are other things there that you'll eventually see in time. Sometimes it's hard to pay attention to a place so large. But there are other aspects, other things, other challenges that are still there. Same thing with Jamestown and Yorktown. There are other things that have gone unnoticed, or you've been lied to about, or there is a distortion. This is what I will relay to you now in regards to that. I would definitely go back and relook at some things. And I would relook at any distortions that have been laid in front of you. Then I would say update what you have been saying. Because it is mostly true. You have been given some distortions. I can't exactly point out which one because there's just little ones sporadically put in. You will find this as you go along. So I thank you for indulging speech at this time. In the museum there's very rare that anybody noticed my presence at all. So you'll find that spirits and ghosts tend to wander near what they created or love the most, and sometimes they just want an ear. Sometimes they want to harm, or sometimes they want to just be a tracker ghost, as he says, and do the bidding of others. Sometimes they're stumbling about and they happen to stumble into you. Sometimes they mean harm and haunting. It just depends on the site. That museum has a bit of all the above, but it is mostly good. Actually, 99.99%. There's just periphery junk from the surrounding area.
Well, I really do. I think there was oversoul intervention to assure that your stuff was there last, to make a lasting impression
Yes,
to people.
yes,
I really do feel that way.
because if you'd hit it first and would have hit the other dense areas, you would not have noticed this. This is why you came through it last, and you were what's the term? Car washed.
Mm-hmm.
So that you felt this. No accidents in this area. So I'd like to say egocentrically that I planned it this way, but I really didn't. It was you walked in there because overall, you would say true benevolent source creator or spirit guided you, or the force guided you in there. Whatever. This is what happened.
Well, I joke because I always say with a lot of our adventures, we were like just these bumbling beings just going around, fumbling into things and, finding out we really don't necessarily have a plan, but some things end up being interesting, really interesting, like today.
Mm-hmm.
So we're obviously glad we did.
Usually the days that you don't have a plan are usually the most powerful. They like to say, and he found this out, that those that don't know what direction they want to go in life are the ones that went through programs or abducted or whatnot. Yes, but the ones that have no plan are usually the ones that are about to discover something bigger and have the most powerful path. To anybody that's listening to that, that if you have no aim for that particular day, you weren't meant to think through. You were meant to feel it through and to walk through it. Just remember this. So I will separate now. Thank you for listening to the sound of my voice and indulging speech of a very old or ancient soul. I will go now. Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that his energy was lightening up as we were going along, as we were, kind of indulging in speech.
It's not that dense in here now.
No.
It was bad right at the beginning. I was like,
I was feeling it here in the mouth, kind of burning, and down here. I would assume that's what consumption feels like. That's empathic transference is what that was.
but part of the denseness was not him, it was what was around him.
It was what was around him.
It just didn't expect it.
He said crap was in the periphery, so it was. And this I know. You go into that area, you're gonna get elements of both there, yin and yang. But the area itself is pretty. There's forest people around in there, Yorktown, Jamestown, and Williamsburg. Yeah,
absolutely worth going to.
Yeah.
I think hopefully folks, if you get a chance to, you'll be happy with the experience. Make sure you do walk in, make sure you do some of the experiences, watch them make things how they used to make them. There's one of the places that you can go into that you're going to be able to see how they used to cook. It's all worth it. You know what I mean? It's fun time to just, but again, if you don't like the hot summer, then we usually have a nice spring and a long fall. And so those would be
those are the times. Those are the times to go. Other times it was either water country or bush gardens, or the beach. So it was one of those three options that we picked for summer. But I know some of you have expressed interest in Busch Gardens Ghost Box. I have not been able to accomplish that one yet. I'll try it at some point in the future. Maybe during the holiday season, I'll try it. But after this is done, you'll be seeing a Ghost Box session I did there today at Williamsburg. So at the time of this recording. So, well, not at this time, but the day of. So, I don't know if you have anything else to add before we close this. So, I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, thank you, everybody, and bye-bye now. Okay. We are back at Colonial Williamsburg. I don't know how we managed to find some of the noisy spots here. And it was the Colonial Williamsburg Art Museum we went to a little bit ago. Pictures on my Facebook account, Christopher.s.jacobs. So, we ran into a section that we may do a show on here. I'll attach this. That's about somebody named Edward Hicks. He was a unifier, it seems, depicting paintings of unifying different factions of Quakers. So I found that interesting, and some people have expressed ghost box sessions probably pertain to the history of a site. All right, I'll meet you 3/4 of the way, of course, and I will do this. Questions. Will we, actually, I open this ghost box circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. And I will also recite the law of one as well. Law of one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. So therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask that only the highest good be done. No false voices on this ghost box. Only the intended questioned. I give thanks that this is done. So be it, and so it is. I ask that only the highest good be done. I give thanks that this is done. So be it, and so it is. So, here we go. Edward Hicks, do you have anything to say on this ghost box? Only his voice until I specify otherwise. No distortions or noise at this time. So here we go.
Ghost box. Scanning. FM. He's a ghost.
He's a ghost? I heard he's a ghost. Who said that, please?
We'll be on.
9.
Heard moving on, be nice.
No rate. Might speak.
Home soup. Water.
Who else is here, please?
All chip. Things on top.
On the flag. In the fight.
More stuff.
Been fight. We hit today. Like
I hear many other voices there. Who do we all have? I heard Edward Hicks needed help and he was a ghost. Is this true?
changes. If you don't make it easy. Relaxing. How do we charge? There, next.
Any words from our benevolent entourage? Benevolent Isaac, benevolent Lena Vessa, benevolent Soul family at this time.
All right, it's 11 months. 7.
January 20.
Right, thank you. All right, I heard multiple voices there on this Ghost Box session. We'll obviously attach this to a show, and we'll find out the rest of that story then, like we did with Bacon's Castle and Williamsburg before it, and Jamestown. So, this will be the return to Williamsburg 2, I believe. So, I'm going to close this box circle at this moment. I close this Ghost Box circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. Thank you. Narrative across time space where appropriate is for every sonal moments, all sessions and expressions. All right. It is now 3:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, October 4th, 2025. Thank you.